Pop Squad coming at you. We've got a song sent in by Jack. Jack sent in a bunch of really interesting stuff, and it's taking me a long time to get to all of it, and I'm still not done. This is something from a band called Slint. First off, thank you to Jack. Slint is not a group that I am aware of, although it sounds like I probably should know who they are. Man, maybe I've heard this song. Band that influenced hundreds of later bands. Beginning in 1986, singer Brian McMahon and drummer Britt Walford played in numerous iterations of what would become Slint, including the punk band Squirrel Bait. They were also joined by guitarist David Payo, Pajo. It's got to be Payo, right? Payo, who introduced them to experimental music. Slint formed as a full band in 1986 and were joined by bassist Ethan Buckler. They named themselves Slint after one of Walford's pet fish. In 1987, their first album, Tweeze, was recorded and produced by legendary musician Steve Albini. The album featured sloppy-sounding recording alongside complex and intense musicianship. However, the album paled in comparison to what was coming next. Brian McMahon was involved in a near-death car crash and became depressed. Slint began meeting in the summer of 1990 to record their next album. The music was much more emotional, dark, and turbulent, combining hardcore punk's emotion, math rock's complexity, and post-rock's atmosphere. All of their music was recorded live for the album in only a couple of takes, and the music was very lightly produced. Each of the 6 songs told a distinct dark story juxtaposed between McMahon's quiet, almost whispering spoken word and shouted anguish cries. The album, Spiderland, was released March 27th of 1991. I would have still been in college. I'm really surprised I never heard of this. The album was critically acclaimed for its innovative style and unconventional music. However, Slint had broken up before it was released. The band members played in various other groups and hold reunions sporadically. Slint has left a lasting mark on indie music, helping create the post-rock genre. Sounds very interesting. Yeah, I'm super surprised I never heard of this. So this is called Good Morning Captain. It is the 6th and final track on Spiderland, produced by Brian Paulson. Let's see. The closing song to Slint's final record, McMahon words a narrative of a captain who lost everything with an explosive coda that drove McMahon off the edge before the band's initial demise. Alternatively, the song is the capstone to an album about the loss of childhood and the move to adulthood. The song tells the story of the captain, a young man, being the only one among his crew of peers, who lingers after the storm, the switch from childhood to adulthood. He makes one last appeal to his childhood, the boy, before having to accept becoming an adult. The song's lyrics allude to the Samuel Taylor Coleridge poem "The Rime of the Ancient Mariner," in which a sailor recounts his tale as the sole survivor of a devastating sea voyage that kills the other crew members on board. Good Morning Captain is also the first line of the song Mule Skinner Blues. Let's see, this came out, this is the remastered version, came out in 2014. The original, 1991. It is labeled as rock, emo, experimental rock, spoken word, math rock, post-hardcore, and post-rock. I've never heard math rock before. Not, I mean, I guess it's very technical, right? Like, maybe something like Rush. Let's find out. Math rock. I've never heard. Math rock. Sure, definition. Style of alternative indie rock with roots in bands such as King Crimson and Rush. There you go. It is characterized by complex, atypical rhythmic. Okay. Let's see. There's a little bit more over here. Atypical rhythmic structures, counterpoint, odd time signatures, and extended chords. It bears similarity to post-rock. Hey, looks like my brain works correctly. Let's check this out. Good Morning Captain from Slint. Oh, yeah, I read that already. 7 minutes and 39 seconds. Let's check this out. I have no idea. Maybe I've heard this before, but I don't think so. Thanks again to Jack. It's strange because I'm trying to think of other bands that do this spoken word style, and the only thing I can come up with is like Cake, um, and it's not in the same style of what Cake does. And I know there are other bands that do like little bits of spoken word, and maybe this song is atypical for Slint. But I definitely feel like I can see how these guys fit into kind of the style of music of the late 80s, early 90s. This even sounds a little noise guitar-y, grungy, even though this is sort of before grunge had really taken off. Definitely got the rock feel to it. A little bit of punk just in terms of like the sharpness of some of the chords that they're playing, and the very DIY indie style that it's recorded in, right? The live recordings. It's interesting. I'm not saying this is like the coolest song I've ever heard, but I can definitely see that Slint is a band I should probably have learned about a long time ago.
There was a sound at the window then. The captain started. His breath was still. Slowly, he turned.
I feel like that guitar, that like where it was just before the music came in here again, should be like a ringtone.
From behind the edge of the windowsill, there appeared the delicate hand of a child. His face was flushed and timid. He stared at the captain through frightened eyes. The captain reached for something to hold on to. "Help me," he whispered as he rose slowly to his feet. The boy's face went pale. He recognized the sound. Silently, he pulled down the shade against the shadow. Lost at the doorstep of the empty house. I'm trying to find my way home. I'm sorry. I miss you. I miss you.
Yeah, definitely some kind of art rock stuff going on there. He was working through some things. Maybe this is just something he felt like making. They. Perhaps the child represents the captain when he was younger in his quest to return to a carefree, simpler time. Yeah, okay. I get all this stuff. The boy represents the captain's childhood, maybe. I mean, they've probably talked about this song quite a bit, right? In a non-allegorical reading of the lyrics, these two lines complicate the story quite a bit. Silently he pulled down the shade against the shadow, lost in the doorstep of the empty house. Those are the two lines. Interesting stuff. And then there's something here about the father. Brian McMahon, Slint's guitarist and vocalist, revealed in the 2004 interview in The Guardian that these lines are about his experiences with touring. And I'm sorry and I miss you. I'm trying to find my way home. So this is the part that I did actually find the most interesting, where he's screaming at the end here about something, right? I'm trying to find my way home. I'm sorry and I miss you. Once I started, he says, once I started leaving to do tours, my parents were not at all happy. My dad in particular was like, this is a huge mistake. I have a brother 5 years younger. I'm not saying good morning, captains, about him. But those lines, I'm sorry, I miss you, are informed by leaving Louisville and him behind. I was thinking about my brother having to go through the same experiences as me when everything was just becoming too much. That's interesting. As previously stated, the captain regrets choosing the sea over his family, so maybe that's him regretting choosing touring over his family, his brother. However, he tries to making it up to his son by saying that he's grown taller, meaning that he's matured and has moved past his previous decisions. It's interesting. This part definitely felt very personal to me, so I think that makes sense. The whole thing with his like going on tour, his dad not being happy about it, and not being there for his younger brother, who's probably in high school, entering high school, probably going through some difficult times. The stuff that he had to go through were similar things, right? Not exactly the same. And he. And given the fact that McMahon had an accident, nearly died, he probably felt that even more sharply, right? That like, I'm gonna miss some things. I might not ever come back from this. I might not get to see them again. I miss you. I don't necessarily want to do this, but this is something I have to do. Like, I have to be myself. I have to live my life. Because you always have to make decisions, right? You have to make choices in life. Are you going to live for yourself, or are you going to live for somebody else? Are you going to do what you want to do? Are you going to do what other people ask of you or expect of you? And I think that's part of growing up. That's part of making those decisions. Do I want to leave my hometown and get away from my family and see what I can do, or do I want to maybe play a little bit safer and stay close to home and always have people there to back me up, to be there for me? And again, that's a very privileged place to be able to even have those choices, to have people that are there to back you up, that want you around, that will help you out if needed. And it sounds like that's the place he was at. I don't know what his relationship was like with his father, his family. It's a good song. It makes me very curious about this band. I don't know how I ever missed them. Like, this is absolutely the sort of thing I would have listened to, especially in the late 80s, early 90s. No clue how I missed these guys. I would not be surprised if I check out more of their discography, if there's a couple of tracks that I've actually heard from them. But off the top of my head, no, I don't remember the name Slint. Yeah, good stuff, Jack. Thank you for sending this in. Very different. Very, very different. I appreciate it. Pop Squat. Check it out. Please like, subscribe, and share. Cash App, PayPal, Patreon is over here. I appreciate it very much. Have yourself a good day. I will be back with one more track. It's another Chief Keef leak from yesterday. Bye-bye.